Anyone have guesses on what this one is? If you didn't notice, a lot of these ones are in these particular boxes. I typically will rebox my tap handles so that it's a little bit easier for me to actually have them stacked up and on shelves and stuff like that. Other people will just keep them in bins and things like that, but I do prefer to do things like this. This one here, we have Black Label beer. I don't know a ton about Black Label beer, but I know that there's a batch of beers that this was produced with. And so if you're picking up a collection of old tap handles or things like that, then it's not uncommon to see Black Label among them. And with this one, you do have a lucite tap, and or a lucite or resin, and I will point out a couple of things that are actually kind of cool about this one. You may already be noticing this a little bit, but with the lucite or resin taps, they're typically clear. With this one, you'll notice that there's a color that's very apparent, the red color, throughout it. But if you look at it from the side, then you'll notice that the way that they've done this, you actually have a clear top and a clear bottom with a resin that goes through the center, and then you also have the two different visual elements that are in there as well. So you can think about that as really just a standard layering process if you're familiar with graphic design. So you've got clear, you've got red, and then this is an element, and then that's a separate element up top. So those are all produced so that they can be put in there. And up top it says House of something that I can't quite read. If anybody knows what that says, let me know. Another thing that's worth pointing out here is for coloration purposes is that you do have this portion that's colored as well. You'll notice that similar to this red portion, this is a block, so it actually isn't colored all the way to the top, even though it gives that appearance. So you do have this coloration that goes to the bottom, but you actually do have a section here that is not colored. Also worth noting with this is that you actually have a different coloring here on the black, on the back. So it says Black Label, but you've got a different coloring there. And you can see right there that that is on the back there. You do not have this element repeated on the back, so you do only have that element on the front. And then another thing, it's also worth noting the condition of this. So you'll notice that there is some wear and some scratching, but this is fairly even scratching. So one of the things that I'll look for with tap handles, if it's something where I'm picking up or planning on keeping it, is the consistency of the scratching. So I don't want to have any large scratches that directly affect the visibility of any of the key elements. And then also on top of that, I typically check to see if there's any big chunks that are very, very scratched or damaged. If you have light consistent wear, then that's kind of accepted. That's going to be par for the course. You can also take a look and see if you notice any sort of chipping or anything like that. That is going to be fairly common with any of the older tap handles, but you just want to see if it's something that would meet your particular standards. Also for this one, you will notice here that you do have this brass insert. So with this one, that would mean that the threading is slightly larger than the standard North American tap threading. And so then you have this brass insert that goes in there so that you're going to have the appropriate thread sizing for the North American tap handle. So that's going to be the 3/8/16. So there we have Black Label. And that is one of those ones that, like I mentioned, with some of the older tap handles, you may see this in collections. I do like the design. It's a fairly good one overall.